What I love about Anchor is that it's given me creative control of my own material. I was approached by a big company to do a podcast about the art world, and I didn't want to sign over all rights to them. Anchor has allowed me to make this podcast and to keep creative control as well as financial control in terms of advertising. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free. You can use it on your phone or your computer. There are tools that help you to upload your recordings that you've done separately or on the app. They'll distribute it for you as well, which again, I couldn't wrap my mind around distribution, and they have it all there for you in one place: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and many more. You can easily make money from it as well. They help you advertise. As you can see right now, I'm getting my first ad out through Anchor. And all you have to do is download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good luck with your podcast and getting your voice out there and owning your content. Welcome back to another episode of the Bees and Honey podcast. Today we'll be speaking with artist Krista Kim. She's Korean Canadian, and she basically has a body of work that is very particular to her, very particular to our time, and I think you'll find it fascinating what she has to say about art in the time of the coronavirus.
Oh,
Hi, Krista. How are you?
hi. I'm fine. How are you, Nicolette?
Good. I'm glad we're hearing each other. That's a good start.
Yes. My goodness.
So
My
tell me
goodness.
what's going on. How are you guys doing over there? How is your son? How is your family?
My kids are good. We are together and we are safe. We are following the quarantine, and we're just we're keeping busy. Um, School is out here in Canada too, so there's a lot of homeschooling now. But
Good.
we're getting into a regular routine of like, homeschooling and exercise and they're playing games, riddles, whatever.
Right.
Um, but it's great because you're kind of like, you know, the school system is interesting because your kids go there and so much of the day they're away from you, but this is like a very unique situation. Very, very unique. You're forced
Yeah.
to spend time together and really connect, which is very interesting. It's great.
Good. And so, how is the practice going? How is your art going? I don't know what you're working on now, but since the last time we spoke, everything's changed in the world. You want to tell us about your latest project in New York and how that worked out for you?
Well, yes, so I had an opening at the Waterfall Mansion Gallery in the Upper East Side.
Mm-hmm.
The opening was scheduled for March 11th, so I
Mm-hmm.
flew into New York. And the day before, Kate Shin, the owner, she informed me that she had to cancel the reception for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided to have a small group of friends just come and see the work. Um, it was
Right.
uh, it was surreal, Nicolette. My, I felt that it was a timely moment to actually show my work
Mm-hmm.
because my work is about, it is about healing. It is about bringing people together. It's about, connecting to pure consciousness, a
Mm-hmm.
meditativeness.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I felt like, wow, this is what, this is exactly what I knew the world would need. And I did not expect it to be so cataclysmic and so cathartic in how that need presented itself because I expected a more gradual 5 year
Right.
crisis point. But this
Yeah.
is really tectonic plates that just sort of exploded and it's an earthquake. It's just it's crazy. It's earth shattering. It's
Yeah.
institution shattering, system shattering. Everything is sort of like become this blank canvas now.
Yeah, and I think only nature could have constructed something like this. I don't think any one man could have decided that, okay, here the world is all gonna come imploding. There were too many vested interests for that to
100%.
happen. So now that this pandemic is raging, do you even have plans for the future? I mean, how are you thinking about the future of work, the future of your practice, stuff like that?
Well, I mean, so basically I think that we all artists, I think the entire art world is becoming very introspective and I guess digesting and reading off the ether what is happening in the world and how can that be sort of expressed artistically, creatively. I think that now the number one thing is humanity first.
Yeah.
I think that now every system, every government, every individual is now thinking about humanity first and Mother Earth, because that connection to Mother Earth is now obviously more obvious than ever to billions of people around the world,
Right.
experiencing the same crisis moment. So this is a time of deep reflection, and I think that all of these systems that are so ideologically based on self, vested interests and power structures are being exposed for not thinking about people first, but self-preservation first of power structures. Correct?
Correct.
So I think the healthcare debates, I think the whole, issue about universal basic income and looking after people who are losing their jobs. I mean, this unemployment insurance application of millions of people at one time. This
Mm-hmm.
is something that's happening now, but could easily happen because of automation in the future.
Right.
So this is
Right.
something that's going to happen whether we like it or not, right? So,
Yeah. And that's how
um,
our reality is being defined
correct.
right now.
So people have to think about, okay, so what do we do to make the world manageable and humane? How do we manage ourselves? Who do we choose as our leaders? What systems do we have to revamp, redesign, and completely start from scratch? People
Yeah.
have to be creative. And so, artists, I think right now, Nicolette, I think that the art world has to really get out of its bubble of art world and think more about creating a new civilization.
Right.
Get out of the art world system and get into creating a new civilization and focus on that.
I think
And
that's a great idea. Mm-hmm.
that endeavor entails collaboration. It
Mm-hmm.
entails really getting out of your art world thinking and collaborating with engineers, with people in healthcare, with just across the board. How can I use my creative skills to organize and create a new civilization for humanity first?
I think that's a great idea. The call to arms is already out there, and hopefully, we'll get beyond this product based art market stuff we've been so focused on for the last,
Oh,
I don't know, 20 years or something.
I think that this is exactly how the art world will evolve out of this awakening, because
Perfect.
art is supposed to create culture and
Mm-hmm.
a new society. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot leave the system in the hands of engineers and technocrats
And
and
politicians.
capitalism and politicians alone. We have to step up. We
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
step up.
I think that's a very, very good point. And now, going back in time to when you started your art practice, tell us how that movement of techism started and how it influenced your work or how your work influenced other things at that time.
Well, my artwork came out of a time of great depression and anxiety, which I suffered from in 2013. And so I
Mm-hmm.
turned to meditation And this is at the same time that I was actually enrolled in a master's program for fine art at LaSalle College of the Arts in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, you know, the art that I was creating was healing. And I think that art is what actually brings people together and allows people to heal collectively, because this compassion, this empathy is human experience, and we have to do it or we die.
Right.
We're social beings. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I knew, especially, I was very, hyper aware of the effects of technology on
Mm-hmm.
our social interactions and our society at large, and I foresaw the psychological problems that would arise from addiction to digital devices. And lo and behold, we have studies now that shows that young people, Gen Z and younger, these people are the most depressed and loneliest generation in human history.
Wow.
And this is attributed to social media, because social media, if you look at Facebook and Instagram, it's a playground. It's a virtual playground. And is it toxic, or is it healthy and protected in their interests? It's it's predatory. It manipulates people. It promotes sociopathic narcissism.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is going to become part of the psychology of the people who use it every day, because daily habits creates culture,
Mm-hmm.
and it also creates values. That if you have billions of people around the world using this technology, it definitely affects the entire collective consciousness. So I knew that this would be a problem, and I knew that art and artists would actually be able to contribute in actually intervening and engaging with the technology to create technology for humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and not for capital gain, not for the shareholders of a tech company, but for the people to
Mm-hmm.
interact and you know to find humanity in the technology. And here's the thing, Nicolette. This crisis is now getting people to actually think outside of the box and use technology as a way to connect with each other in a beautiful way. And
True.
it's art. It is art.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're seeing that en masse now. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
focus. This is the entire premise of techism, is to have people use and engage technology so that it becomes humane, and for the people, and for people to connect and you know to build humanity in society. Because we were
Yeah.
we were running. I mean, before this happened, technology was, everything is halted now. But the
Yeah.
systems that we were part of were basically going to run over a cliff. It was
Yeah.
right,
Not sustainable. Right.
absolutely, in every aspect, for
Well, tell
humanity,
us.
for the
Mm-hmm.
environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I was going to ask about your ideas about surveillance, because now we hear more and more in the news about this surveillance society that's being heightened as a repercussion of coronavirus. Can you
yes,
tell us about your projects in tech that deal partially or wholly with surveillance?
absolutely. So of course we have a lot of stories coming out of China, of the extreme surveillance. And I mean, here's a trade-off. You trade off your privacy in order to protect the health and welfare of the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
You are scanning uh, your faces. You're part of a database. All of your bio data is being collected through your phones. You're being
Mm-hmm.
traced. Your
Mm-hmm.
other people are warned if you have coronavirus of your vicinity, so they could stay away from you. I mean, these are all, I guess they would be seen as, very logical measures to control the virus, to
Mm-hmm.
contain it. But
Mm-hmm.
where does it stop?
Yeah, that's the question.
Where does it stop? And will it stop? And can you trust them? No,
Right.
you
I
can't
think we
trust
can't trust
anyone.
them. Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
trust
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know where your
And
data
I
is
don't think,
going.
right. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure if their main concerns are ever human lives. I think they're driven by other factors which are not really caring for human beings.
Right.
But
So so
mhm,
basically, I have so I met a company called Cinchy, CINCHY.com.
mhm, mhm,
They're a startup based in Toronto, and I met them last year at the Collision Tech Conference in Toronto.
mhm,
And at the time, I had read the book by Shoshana Zuboff called Surveillance Capitalism.
mhm,
And she's the one who basically, cracked the code on surveillance capitalism and the business practices of Facebook and Google of collecting your data, selling your data to third parties for billions of dollars, and
mhm.
you are not, you don't even know that your data is being hijacked essentially to
Yeah,
be sold.
yeah.
And this
Mhm,
is very dangerous because now we have biodata, biodata
mhm,
from our Internet of Things, including our phones,
mhm,
reading our facial expressions when we see different websites or reactions, body temperature.
mhm.
It is so invasive, and it's based on, biological data, which is the most invasive ever in human history. It's unregulated,
Right.
and we don't
Mhm.
even know where it's going or who sees it, and we don't know what's going on with our data, and it's very concerning. So Sinchi, I
Mhm.
approached this company to do an art installation and to bring awareness to the importance of data autonomy, because really the front lines of human rights is data autonomy.
Mhm.
I am my data is me, and I think that we all have to understand that this is the new civil rights,
Paradigm.
human rights paradigm. Correct.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sinchi is a federated data platform. It's the
Mhm.
only platform that is actually functioning, that works. Federated data means that data is not stored in silos, it's stored in a data fabric, like a
Mhm.
system that allows you to actually control your own data so that it's no
Okay.
longer free flowing in a cloud. It's embedded into the fabric. And
Mhm.
this fabric allows you to efficiently, faster than ever, communicate, use data, send, not send data. You're not sending. Your individual cells of data are controlled in this
Mhm.
in the data fabric. You control it. You are the only one who controls your data, but you grant
Mhm.
access, and you set the parameters of access to every single cell of data that you produce. And we produce a ton of
Wow.
data a day.
Yeah.
Now, the future, I mean, basically, right now, this application is for major banks, and it's
Mhm.
spreading like wildfire because the data efficiency and the amount of money that companies save when you're actually creating new, like, database systems that speak to one another, different data silos. Normally, companies would spend millions of dollars and years of coding and software development to have two data silos communicate with one another. But if a
Right.
bank is basically using the federated data system, then it's within months they can have two data silos speak to one another, and it
Mhm.
increases data efficiency within thousandth of a second. So if Bank A has a Cinchi, then Bank B had better get a Cinchi because their data efficiency is way slower than Bank A. So it's kind of like the Borg.
Right.
It's like the
Mhm.
Borg, and it really is hyper efficiency of data, but also protects data control and
Mhm.
security. So the CEO of the company, Dan Demers, when I understood, through speaking to him and collaborating with him, his vision is to actually have this technology move from Fortune 500 companies down to small, medium businesses and then to individuals.
Yes.
I told him, I said, do you realize that you are going to save democracy? And he's like, Krista, that's why I like speaking to you, because you get that. You could see things in a perspective where perhaps I don't, but this is a, hello.
Yeah,
Um,
you have the big picture. Yes, you have the big
but
picture.
yes, but he sees the big picture, and he understands that. But I see in the future that if the world adopts that federated data system for management of all of our data, then
Mm-hmm.
uh, then we're protecting the future of our democracy. We're protecting our data autonomy, because data is the new
Yes,
currency.
absolutely. That's what's valuable about us. As they say on Facebook, we are the product.
Well,
Um,
yes, exactly,
g-
exactly.
I was going to ask about pre-pandemic. You had a successful collaboration with Lanvin,
Yes,
and that's like almost diametrically opposed to what we were just discussing. But can you tell us a little bit about how that worked and what your plans are in the future for other
sure.
collaborations?
Well, of course. Lanvin, of course, is an incredible brand, and it's the oldest haute couture brand in France, founded by Jean
Mm-hmm.
Lanvin. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, Olivier Lapidus was the creative director, and
Mm-hmm.
he was introduced to my work through my previous agent, and he contacted me because he was inspired to collaborate and create an entire collection based on five of my artworks. So in
Mm-hmm.
2018, for the fall winter collection, um, my art was printed on the silks, all the fabrics, most of the fabrics, created beautiful gowns, leather, bags. We had Krista Kim bags that were sold out, sneakers, which were amazing, which I definitely have to do again. Um,
Wow, yeah.
but it was an incredible collaboration. I always knew that my art would look amazing on fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But to be at Place Vendôme at the fashion show for Lanvin with my art
Mm-hmm.
walking down the runway and beautiful gowns and haute couture, I mean, it was the
Yes.
pinnacle. It
Surreal.
was
Like,
amazing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And
No, I love that.
yes,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
yes, I think that, here's the thing. I believe that fast fashion, any kind of
Mm-hmm.
sort of, fast fashion definitely is going to have a major wake up call after this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think people are not going to be interested in that kind of a system anymore, not only because it's unsustainable, but it's just like it's so wasteful.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
I just had this conversation with
yes,
the artist who I had on before, Joyce Seton. She's
mm,
working with natural dyes, but continue. Go
yes,
ahead.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Sustainability and artisanship. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important in the art world to present a beautiful vision of the future. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
to just inspire people with beauty,
Mm-hmm.
whatever creative outlet that may be. I think that that has always been the role of art, is to enlighten people,
Yeah.
and I think that's good for the soul. I think it's good for society. And when we come out of this, I think that people will be once again embracing one another and embracing beauty, expressing themselves, whether through fashion,
Mm-hmm.
but I think with a
Mm-hmm.
more mindful quality, much more awareness
Yeah.
of how their actions and their purchases affect the world.
Exactly. Well, I think on that note, we might end. I'll speak to you again soon, I'm
Oh,
sure.
yes.
But um, but thank you for taking the
It's
time
always a
to
pleasure.
share your ideas and
Thank
your
you.
work.
Thank you,
And
Nicole.
looking forward to hearing more news.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure. I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We'll do the real hugs and kisses as opposed to air hugs and virtual kisses.
That's what I'm craving right now. I'm craving hugs and kisses.
For real. I will that is another topic altogether. I better get off now. Yes.
There's a term in Asia.
All
There's
right.
a term in Asia called skinship.
Mhm.
Skinship. It's
Mhm.
really funny. I
Mhm.
want more skinship.
Yes, yes. I'll remember that term.
Okay, my dear.
Okay, I'll talk to you
Okay.
soon. Take
Talk to you soon.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bees and Honey podcast. I look forward to speaking with you again sometime soon. If you have any ideas for me, please reach out. You can leave a voicemail on this podcast from the Anchor app, or you can email me, Nicolette at beesandhoney.com. Thanks and have a great week.